Good afternoon to my viewers in North and South America. Good evening to my European viewers, and good morning to everybody out in the Pacific Rim area. So, hope I've covered just about everybody there. And welcome to another live stream of the Angry Astronaut. Bit struggling today, sort of tired, maybe coming down with a cold or something like that, not too sure. So this will be a little bit of a abbreviated topic today, but one that I certainly want to discuss, especially given the video that I just released about the views on how NASA is not appropriately anticipating the potential of Starship. They're not really appreciating what Starship could do. And so, therefore, the moon, the Artemis plan, has not really changed, even though Lunar Starship is now the selected HLS provider, although as of tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen. November 1st is the cutoff date for the Federal Appeals Court to make the decision on the Blue Origin lawsuit. So who knows, in the American legal system, anything can happen. So all of that could throw the whole project on its head. So we'll see what ends up happening as far as that's concerned. Thank you so much, Cynic in Chief, for those of you who want to support me. That's a great way to do it on Patreon or Super Chats as well. I'm certainly happy for those anywhere at all. Excuse me, and that support will be, as I say, very much appreciated. So lots of changes. Obviously, Blue Origin releasing their plan for the orbital reef, I guess is what it's called. Although it's just right now it's just another excuse to use a lot of awesome CGI and stuff like that. We really don't have anything tangible aside from what Sierra Space is contributing to the plan. They're contributing Dream Chaser. They're contributing the Life modules. They actually have real life, either mock-ups or prototypes of those vehicles in existence. Blue Origin has pretty much nada. They don't even have a Pathfinder version of New Glenn yet. So, I mean, really, this was a big announcement, and Blue Origin, if they are serious about this, they're moving in the right direction. But at the same time, it's I'll believe it when I see it. That's all I've got to say as far as that's concerned. And yeah, but yeah, tomorrow, theoretically, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, November 1st is the big cutoff date for the Federal Appeals Court on the HLS. Now, the Senate has already issued a directive for there to be more than one HLS system anyway, so this decision could be kind of irrelevant. But at the same time, if the court decides that the whole HLS thing has to be started over and reconsidered and all that, that's going to slow down Artemis colossally. And that would be very bad news indeed. And so, that kind of prompted the question, what's going on with Artemis? And is the plan as it exists right now, is it going to work? Is it going to be something that's sustainable? Because after all, even with Lunar Starship included in the plan, SLS is still the backbone of it. It still provides the transportation for astronauts to and from the moon. So consequently, we're only looking at a few astronauts visiting the moon a few months at a time every year, and we're only looking at one SLS launch per year. Thank you so much, Christopher. Really do appreciate. Dress up as NASA's budget for Halloween. Couldn't find a costume small enough. And yes, that is all too true. NASA's budget has always been a tiny thing, except for that small stretch of time when we were trying to beat the Soviet Union. But other than that, we really haven't done a whole lot with NASA's budget. And yet, NASA has accomplished a hell of a lot with that small amount of money. It's been quite amazing how much that they have been able to accomplish. May not see human moon landing until 2028 at this rate, maybe 2030. Yeah, that would be grim. That would be grim indeed, because then it is a real race between the US and the People's Republic of China, because their intention is indeed to put a human being on the moon by 2030. Plastic Pinocchio, thank you for the super chat. Funds granted. What is stopping us from keeping the ISS operating until 2040? I doubt we'll see another Western public station before that year. The ISS is deteriorating by the year. The astronauts on board spend a whole lot of their time on maintenance work and not as much time on science. And that's just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. I do believe that Axiom Space will have a functioning space station by 2030. That's my opinion. Axiom will be ready to go by 2030. Yeah, it'll be a Chinese landing by 2028. Yeah, it's possible. Right now, they're saying that they're shooting for 2030. So we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe they can beat the objective. What's the alternatives outside of SLS and Starship if both turn into train wrecks? Are we ever going back to the moon? Well, Starliner glitch, in theory, it could be done. What would end up happening is you would send the Orion plus the ICPS or something similar to that into LEO with the Vulcan, or maybe the Falcon Heavy. You refuel it in orbit, do on orbit refueling, and send the Orion to the moon that way. That would be one way to do it if we have a failure on both fronts. I certainly hope that that isn't the case, but it could be. All right, here's a lengthy question. What's my take on the possibility that commercializing space creates a real possibility for pay to access the science model? For example, we always talk about how a company making an interplanetary probe would get a lot of respect. But what would happen if they held findings behind a paywall like modern labs and research companies do? I think we're in danger of missing out on discoveries because of resource exploitation, or is that still a next century worry? Oh, no, I think it's entirely possible. And bear with me, guys. Like I say, I think I'm getting a cold. So very sorry for that. But yeah, that is entirely possible. We could be facing a situation to where if space flight becomes exclusively a private enterprise, then these private enterprises hold their data hostage. Sure, that could definitely happen, and that's a strong argument indeed for there to be a strong argument indeed for there to be some sort of public institution like NASA, in order to keep functioning so that we can have free access to this scientific data. If we could have this space station in the last century if Congress had continued Skylab, yeah. Skylab was an unfortunate situation. That was something that should have stayed up a lot longer. A lot was accomplished by that, and yet, yeah, it really had a very short lifespan. It was unfortunate. However, that being said, the Soviets really maintained a lot of space stations as well. Their Salyut series and the Mir, they maintained a pretty much constant presence in LEO using their space stations. They did a fine job as far as that's concerned. If SLS fails for some reason, what's stopping NASA from using Dragon on Falcon Heavy? The Falcon Heavy Dragon does not have the life support to sustain astronauts for a lengthy journey. Dragon doesn't have a recirculating life support. The solution that's been proposed is a Falcon Heavy with ICPS and Orion. Falcon Heavy barely has the fuel to get Orion all the way to the Lunar Gateway. So it theoretically could be done with Falcon Heavy, although it probably would require some significant modifications. Boeing, can we stick a fork in it? Not yet, Fred. If they get SLS off the ground in February, as they're planning to do, Boeing will have substantially redeemed themselves. That will be an impressive thing if they manage to do that. So I certainly hope that's the case. I welcome the Chinese competition, says Greg. Yes, I agree. The Chinese competition is a good thing, if for no other reason. It drives us, it pushes us to be successful, to reach the moon before they do again, for the same reasons that we went to beat the Soviets. Although this time it's going to stay. Both sides are talking about building a base, a permanent, settlement, that sort of thing. Excuse me. So it's not going to be subject to the same sorts of problems that Apollo was, where it was go, okay, we made it, we're done. Hello, London, and glad to see you. I hope to be in London myself in a few months. Okay, so let's see. Other questions. Any publicly funded research. Don't mind companies getting returns for their risky investments. The biggest danger of space travel, says FIS, is often missing information. Encouraging companies to keep their data coming would really help. Yeah, yeah, it certainly would. And like I say, I mean, I think that private space flight certainly has the potential to deliver scientific information to the human community. I think that that would be a wonderful thing. And but at the same time, I think there needs to be some regulations to ensure that they do so. Otherwise, it could be lots of secrets and not enough benefit. If Starliner does not work for ISS, it will theoretically work for Orbital Reef. Yeah, that's part of the plan for Orbital Reef. They want to use Starliner for it. I wish them luck. I don't know if that thing's ever going to be functional. Hello back to you, Scotland. Very big fan of your country. Beautiful, beautiful region of the world, definitely. Um, SpaceX did consider using Dragon for Deer Moon. Yeah, they did look into it. They had a solution potentially for an extended journey as far as Crew Dragon is concerned, but its life support is not what Orion's is. It cannot maintain the astronauts for a sustained period of time. It could orbit, do an orbit of the moon, and then come right back, but that would be about it. We feel we should welcome the Chinese, Russians, other countries to work with the U.S. Everybody except the Chinese. Fred, I'd say the Chinese need to prove to all of us that they are trustworthy when it comes to scientific secrets and proprietary technological information, because they haven't done a very good job of that thus far. NASA mentioned this week their desire to keep SLS flying for the next 30 years. Oh, my dear God, I hope not. Oh, wow. I hope that they can find a better solution than SLS in 30 years. Using a fully expendable rocket for 30 years? I mean, come on. That is one of the most insane things I've ever heard of. NASA should be moving forward technologically, not backward. SLS is a step backward. It will work. It will get the job done for now, but it's definitely not an advance technologically whatsoever. It's just using space shuttle technology and non-reusable space shuttle technology. I mean, what kind of accomplishment is that? I think the possibility of bringing ISS back to Earth is going to be enjoyed to exhibit here. People have talked about that. Good to hear from you, Supex, by the way. Um, People have talked about that possibility. It would be a very complicated thing to do from an engineering standpoint, but with Starship's massive payload fairing, maybe that could be something that they could do. So yeah, definitely. Keep those comments coming. Once again, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for your support. These super chats, the Patreon support, etc. Everything that you do helps to keep this channel running and keep my content coming. If a rocket is going to be single use, it needs to be cheap and easy to produce. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, if you're going to do an expendable rocket, and some companies are still embracing that, the ones launching small sats, then definitely that needs to be done. Hello, back to you, Sweden. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I'll keep this content coming. And your support makes all the difference in the world. Once again, I do appreciate it. You may notice I'm occasionally looking down. I'm checking on my live stream Q&As, the stuff I have coming in from my Discord supporters. You guys are the best. Thank you so very much. I believe Artemis is an amazing idea. We could go back to the moon. I think the plan works out. SLS away is too expensive and should not be used. Yeah, it should be a short-term solution until Starship is human certified, which could take a while. SLS is just a stopgap solution, and it should be considered that. But unfortunately, that's really not what's happening. It's scary how much is riding on Starship and SpaceX. Yeah, a lot's riding on it. If Starship, I mean, that's one reason why we need a second HLS competitor, and I'm glad that it appears that that's going to happen. I'm confident that Starship will be successful, but at the same time, how long will it take for it to be successful? That's a good question. And we should have a simpler lunar lander as an alternative in the meantime. I think that that would be a good option. Greg, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. And thank you very much for the compliment about that video. It was a great article, an excellent article, and I definitely wanted to write to make something about it. Somebody pointed it out to me on Twitter, to be honest, and I was so intrigued by it that I decided to do an article. So pushing on. Let's see here. Have things been going well for me? Well, I've had my good days and my bad days. I'm not in as much pain as I was. I've been taking a variety of antibiotics. That could be contributing to how I'm feeling right now. I don't know, but they have been more effective, so that's been making a difference. Miko, thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, a long stretch of antibiotics does take a toll on you in the long run. So I've had my good days, my bad days. That's all I got to say. Humans have been living in space before the end of the century. When the oil runs out, humans never leave Earth. That's true. We have vanishing resources. Our resources will only support our civilization for so long, and then we're pretty much done. So we have to expand out into the solar system if we are to survive. Excuse me. Once again, yeah, pretty confident I'm getting a cold, I think. Blood pressure is fine. How angry am I on a scale of 1 to 10? Right now, I would say maybe a 5. I mean, I'm not tremendously, well, I'd say I'm pretty damn angry about the fact that Congress is demanding that NASA provide a second HLS and are giving them no money to do it. That has me angry as hell. So, aside from that, though, no, not tremendously angry. New Glenn, fully reusable because it only exists as an animation. Yes, I would agree with you. It is fully reusable. You can play that animation over and over and over again. They keep showing us, some stuff from their manufacturing facility, some things that are, indicating that they're making some progress on New Glenn. but it's not very impressive in my opinion. If Starship doesn't work out and Blue Origin is still doing lawsuits, I feel like Artemis will be over if something like Dynetics isn't picked. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could end Artemis, and I don't like where a lot of this is going. And by the way, my next topic probably is going to be the decision that the federal appeals court makes when it comes to the Blue Origin lawsuit, because that decision is supposed to happen tomorrow. And I'm going to be putting something out about that because Blue Origin, believe it or not, still has another option available to them if they lose that lawsuit. Aren't the risks of the gravity well ends of the trip with a Starship once refueled? Just cycling between the moon and Mars with life support really be that risky? Just landers at both ends. Yeah. A moon cycler or a cycler in general is a very good idea. If you have a separate lander, something other than the lunar starship being used to set down on the moon. By the way, once again, please like, please subscribe, guys. Really do appreciate your support in every respect. It makes a very big difference to me indeed. Okay, a lot is riding on Artemis 1. Hell yes, Starliner glitch, it certainly is. If they have a colossal screw up like Starliner did, we aren't sending people on anytime soon. Yep. If SLS blows up on the pad, if it blows up during ascent, if it pulls a space shuttle Challenger, then Artemis is in big, big trouble. A lot is riding on that launch, definitely. Where's my engines? Yep, that's a question that needs to be asked over and over and over again until Blue Origin finally provides those engines. Is it time for government to step out of the space race and leave it to commercial entities totally? I don't think so yet, Simon. I think that involving commercial entities is important. That's why Commercial Crew was a really good idea and why things like it should continue. But at the same time, purely scientific expeditions, science for science sake, can only really be carried out by a government organization that isn't looking for profit. Scottish whiskey, yes, I'm a big fan of whiskeys of all kinds. So yes, that would definitely freshen me up a bit. Although the antibiotics I'm on right now, you can't have alcohol with them. Simon, thank you so much for the £5. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, there'll be some more live streams coming up, and there'll be one coming up very soon. I mean, if SLS goes or Starship goes to orbit soon, I will definitely be there. Government should be issuing contracts to do X, but leave actually doing it to private enterprise. Yeah, I would agree with you there, Dale. I mean, there should be some NASA oversight, government oversight to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, that they're not being overpriced, that sort of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, I definitely think that private enterprise needs to be the replacement for NASA's future. I think that that's very important. Hello, dude. Good to see you. So let's see. Once again, open to questions. Once again, Artemis, the things that I'm concerned about is the small scale of Artemis, the fact that we're only looking at 2 to 4 astronauts, small scale habitations, all the way till 2030. Everything is very small scale and only one SLS launch per year. One, which is actually less. One SL launch per year is actually less than the Apollo program did, significantly less. So as a result, that's something that should be considered as well, and something that I worry about. If you're only sending a mission to the moon once a year, how long can you really maintain that? And that isn't really going to the moon to stay anyway, is it? And hello back to Portugal, by the way, Bruno. Good to see you. Good to see you. So Let's have a look here. First time I've gotten to watch you live from Australia. Well, hello, and good to see you, crippled boy. It's a late time indeed to be watching me from Australia, so I really do appreciate you joining me. If the Blue Origin lander was smaller and reusable, I think it would be decently acceptable. Yeah, yeah, I agree. If they do something that's reusable, then I'm totally in favor of it. Just what they have right now is garbage, and they shouldn't continue to keep pushing it. They shouldn't continue this litigation to insist that they are, the best solution whatsoever. It's absurd. They need to redesign what they have going right now. Thank you, Johnny Spacer. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support. SpaceX being non-union puts it on the wrong side of the current administration. That could be, yeah, yeah. Unions wield a great deal of political power. And hello back to Auckland, and congratulations to you guys for the great success that Rocket Lab has had, and everything that they've been able to accomplish. Unfortunately, their moon mission has been delayed until 2022. When SpaceX had free reign to test right up till early January when the FAA locked it all down. SpaceX can do certain tests. They have certain testing available to them. They can keep doing things like they've done before, these hops and that sort of thing, static fires, etc. All of these things are perfectly acceptable. So, SpaceX is not, banned from doing any sort of testing, just testing that's related to Lunar Starship. Graham Edwards, thank you so much for the 18 pounds. Really do appreciate it. SLS is doomed. Once SLS launches, lands, then relaunches. Yep, it's untenable, but the ugly way business and big money can sway government decisions may continue. House of Representatives represent who? The people or the likes of Boeing? Well, once SpaceX has demonstrated a 100% reusable Starship, it will be difficult. Difficult indeed. Excuse me, guys. It'll be difficult indeed for NASA or anybody else to justify using an expendable rocket. Thank you so much for the €5. Revus, I think that's how it's pronounced. My mother was born. Oh, I missed that. If we could pull that back up. Was born when humans first set foot on the moon. I'm gonna set foot on the moon, keep up the great work. Absolutely, I will do so. And yeah, I'll keep the content coming one way or another, no matter how I'm feeling. I've only got a couple of minutes left. I wasn't planning on making this a very long live stream, just given how exhausted I've been feeling. Sorry about that, guys. I do apologize. Pebmets, thank you so much. Wow, so many people coming with support right now. Huge support. Thank you. I believe people are overlooking Launchpad needs to be checked after every Starship launch, which would prevent multiple launches from a single pad. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. One that I should bring up in a future video. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Matthew Black, thank you. And hello, a New Zealander is jumping on board right now at a difficult hour indeed. Thank you so much, and you're welcome. Very happy to do what I do, and I couldn't do it without your support. So thank you very much. Blue Origin interference shouldn't be allowed. Yep, and hopefully that interference ends tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow the Federal Appeals Court makes their decision, dismisses Blue Origin's appeal, and that pretty much takes care of that. That is indeed my hope. But once again, Blue Origin has other alternatives. At the moment, landing on New Shepard, I feel like using the New Shepard is a waste of time. They could 100% focus on Lander and New Glenn. The only exception to that scheme is if it provides them with a lot of revenue. If they make a lot of money off of that situation, off of doing New Shepard launches again and again, then it could provide Blue Origin with a lot of money to use on other projects. David Beal, thank you so much for the super chat. All of this will be recorded, so no problem for missing it. I'll have it available for you in just a few minutes. And my half hour has run out. Once again, I am so sorry that I kept things as short as I did today. Once again, tired, maybe coming down with some kind of a cold, or it just may be all these antibiotics. I have no idea. Just really dragging this afternoon. But a lot of really good stuff we've talked about today. So Artemis, yes, indeed, in great trouble, especially if both Starship and SLS have to come through with flying colors in order for Artemis to be delivered on the time frame that it needs to be delivered on. And without Artemis, our hopes of going back to the moon are in significant trouble. So until SLS makes its successful first flight, until Artemis 1 goes off without a hitch, which I really hope happens, and until Starship goes to orbit and returns to Earth safely, demonstrating that a fully reusable vessel is the future of space exploration, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.